Okay, welcome to today's shir. Today's shir is Yud Aleph. I hear an echo in the background. Shmuel, I didn't pay you to be in an echo. I paid you to be my chavrusa, my Talmud.
Okay.
You're more a chavrusa or a Talmud? Talmud chaver, right? They have a Talmud chaver, and you're a friend and you're a Talmud.
A friend in need.
I'm losing my other friend. My other friend's going to.
Where's he going to?
He's going to Harnof.
Harnof.
I had one good friend here in Telstone. He's leaving me.
Dang.
That means just me and Shmuel.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, I took your yarmulke. It's alright. I want you to be my friend, but not with a yarmulke, alright? Take off your yarmulke. Don't act so frum. No.
Nice.
My other friend wasn't so frum, that's it. And he was, I'm saying he was frum, but he wasn't like yeshivish, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe he'll go to Harnof, more yeshivish place.
I'm the type of person that I like to speak about all topics, as you know. Alright, we're going to start from the top of Yud Aleph. Aleph.
Oh.
There's the echo again. Alright, I like your, we make a good couple. Thank God.
Odd couple.
Yeah, we make it.
Let's go.
You're odd, I'm even. Alright. Bayisnami, Afal Pisha Gavoa Sarah came in the Kviya Olu Hu the Lagara Mikinofis. Top of Yud Aleph Man Aleph. We said before that on yesterday's shir, that if you're in OLs and you take your head out of the OL, so therefore the rest of your body is considered to be inside. You go after your body because your body's in the OL. So a house, even though it's not 10 tefachim tall, the roof in the house is not 10 tefachim tall. You stick your head out the window, it's like you're in the house and you can't say Kriya Shema. Your head is like in the house. If you're naked, you can't say Kriya Shema. It's not any worse than a kinofos. A house is a very permanent structure. Lishna Acharina. I'm getting back to what we said on Yudam Beis. Amrila. Amar of Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Motor Lisha Mekilas Chasanim Succah Vishayin Lagag. You can sleep in a Kilas Chasanim. This is like what we were discussing before in Aklitin, which has basically two posts, and it drapes down in the shape of a V, the sheet on top. You can sleep in there as long as it doesn't have a gag, which is a tefach. You can sleep in there even though because it doesn't have a gag, which is a tefach, even if it's 10 tefachim tall. This goes along with what we said before. The other memra on Yudam and Beis said that talked about a kila, which has a flat roof, but it's not 10 tefachim. Here it has it is 10 tefachim, but it has a slanted roof. It's not within 3 tefachim from the top. It's not a tefach wide, so therefore it's not considered a roof. You're not considered to be an OL, and you can be yotze the mitzvah of sukkah. The Brisa says you sleep in a kila, not yotze. We're talking about the type of kila that was a flat roof, not a V roof, and had 4 posts, and therefore it was 10 tefachim tall. So therefore you can't be. It's an OL, you're in the OL and on the sukkah. Tashma. Naklitin shnayim mekinovos arba. Naklitin is 2 posts, and a kinofas is arba. You know, kinofas is a canopy bed. You ever see the canopy beds? You never saw a canopy bed? They used to have this in the old days. It's basically like 4 posts, and you have like a covering on top. Mm-hmm. Canopy beds.
Okay.
They're very famous. I would buy a canopy bed.
Really?
That room. Yeah, I think it's nice. You tell me in the comments what you think about it. So you see the Gemara says, kinofis psula agabe naklitin ksheira. If you're under a kinofis, it's possible, but naklitin it's kosher. As long as the naklitin, the V shape, the 2 posts, the covering is not 10 tefachim. Hagvo min amita asara psula. But if it's 10 tefachim from the mattress, it's possible af b'she'en lagag, even though it doesn't have a roof. So you see what? You see that even though it's 10 tefachim tall, once it's 10 tefachim, it doesn't have a roof. It's a problem. Shani naklitin, the Gemara answers the kvi. An aklitin is considered more kavua than a kilas chasanim. Kilas chasanim is a very temporary structure. It's made for a bride and groom, I guess, after they get married. An aklitin is a more permanent structure, and therefore, even if it's 10 tefachim, if it is 10 tefachim, that's considered to be an OL. Either kvi lehevi kinofes. If it's kavua, let it be like kinofes, which is a 4 posts, which is even less than 10 tefachim should be a problem. Gabi kinova is low kvi. Gabi kilo kvi. Gabi kilos chasanim is kavua. Gabi kinofas is not kavua. Therefore, you need 10 tefachim in order to be a problem. Darish Rav Bar Rav Huna Motalisha Makila Af Bishesh Lagag. You're allowed to sleep in a kila, even though it has a gag. Af Bishek Voa Asara. We're talking about a regular kila that's a flat roof, 4 posts. And even though it's 10 tefachim, this is not like anyone said before. Come on, Rabbi Yehuda is like Rabbi Yehuda's shita. The Amar Loasi Ol Arai Mavata Ol Kva. Once you have, even if you're in an Ol Arai and you're in a Sukkah, Rabbi Yehuda is the man, the Amar Ol Sukkah is Diras Kva Bayinan, right? He says even above 20 hours is kosher. Therefore, since you're in the Diras Kva, Sukkah is a Diras Kva, so therefore, living in a temporary Ol does not mean you're outside the Sukkah. You're just in part of the Sukkah. You're in a non-permanent part of the Sukkah, because the Sukkah is permanent. That's the way I'd like to understand this. It's not. We would sleep in front of the rabbis. We would sleep under the beds. They didn't say anything to us. So you see that it's good. And that was an Ol underneath the bed. Say the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. If we said simply halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, it's only by a bed like gaba suya. It's made for on top. It's made to sleep on top of it. When a kila is meant to be within side, it's meant to cover you, aim low. Therefore, it would be a problem. That would be a problem. It would be considered being an OL, not in the sukkah. Kamashman, time with the Yehuda, the last lotion amita, lotion akila. Whether it's made for within or made for on top of it, it doesn't make a difference. It's an OL arai, and it's considered you're in a permanent sukkah. Mishnah says, Hidle ala es hagefem es hadlas es hakisum. On top of your walls, you pushed a grapevine or gourds and their leaves or akisum or ivy, the sea, and while they're mechuber to the karka, which is puzzle schach. V'sichich agaba, and then you added kosher schach on top. Psula, it's a puzzle sukkah. But what if the schach was more than the mechuber things? Then it's kosher because batal barov, like we said before. Osha katzasan kshera. Or if you actually put these ivy or you put the grapevines and then you cut them afterwards, then it's kosher. Zak klal. Now the Gemara is going to say, the Mishnah is going to say, what are the standards for your schach? So if it's makabel tuma, or it doesn't grow from the ground, you can't use it for schach. It's called davar she'ena makabel tuma. But if you have both of those characteristics and it's not makabel tuma and it grows from the ground, then you could use it for schach. And there's another tanai also that it can't be mechuber. Yosef Rav Yosef Kamei de Rav Huna. The Gemara says Yosef Rav Huna Kamei de Rav Huna. Yosef sat in front of Rav Huna. Yosef Amar Osha Katsan Kshera. The Amar Rav Sarich Linaneh. He quoted this Mishnah, and the Mishnah says that if you cut the branches, kosher. And Rav says Sarich Linaneh. It's not good enough that you have to just cut it. You actually have to pick up the branches and put them back down. We'll see, because there's a problem of Tasev Lom and Asoy. Amarle Rav Huna Hashmuel Amra. Rav Huna said to Rav Yosef, Shmuel said this. Adrin Rav Yosef La'ape. Rav Yosef turned away. He turned his face away from Rav Huna when they got angry. They got angry at their Talmidim, they used to turn their face away. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
That's
if you're angry at your wife, you turn your face away. What do you do when you're angry at your wife? What does your wife do when she's angry at you? The camera can't see you. We need to see you. What do you do? Do you turn your face away from your wife?
No, we just the normal usual things, whatever.
Silent treatment.
Throw pots and pans, China, whatever. I don't know.
Who has a stronger arm? You or your wife? Who throws more?
Oh, who throws more?
Who throws more? Who gets more angry? You or your wife?
Really, I don't know.
It's personal stuff.
This is like, what are you kidding? So far, every time, right?
Yeah. But you don't turn your face away from your wife. You'll give her the silent treatment, right?
What silent treatment?
You don't talk to her. She says things to you, you ignore her.
That's what it means over here, the silent
treatment? No, not maybe. I mean, he turned his face away. He didn't talk to him.
Let's go. I don't know all these things.
You don't do the silent. Shmuel doesn't do the silent treatment. I also don't do the silent treatment. I mean, I sort of do. Whatever. It's kind of complicated,
Let's just
everyone has their own tactics of how to deal with arguments or disagreements in marriage.
Really?
It's a fun discussion, but not for now. All right. You always want to get your way, but you want to get your way and make your wife happy, so it's a tough balancing act. All right. The Gemara says he turned his face away. Amar lei, Atu mikamina lachlo Amar Shmuel, Amar Rava, Amar Shmuel. He said, "What are you telling me that Shmuel didn't say this? That Shmuel said this? Shmuel said it, and Rav said it also." And the Gemara says, "Amar lei Rav Huna, this is what I'm telling you. The Shmuel, Amar V'lo Rav. Shmuel was the one who says you have to actually minaneya because there's a problem tasav and also here. The Rav Ashuri Machshe, Rav said it just cuts on even afterwards kosher. He had the Rav without minaneya, without picking and the branches up and putting them down again, the ones that were cut. He had the Rav Amram Chasida, Ramat Chel to the presumed in Shebes. Rav Amram Chasida, he was making tzitzis for his wife. His wife apparently wore tzitzis. Talon, he held was a mitzvah essay lo azman grama. Talon v'lo pasak rusha ichute in shalahen. This is how they describe it in art school. Basically, he took a string, he doubled it over, then he doubled it again, then he put it in the hole, and then he tied all the knots, and he was left with, he had to cut in order to make it 8. He had 8 strings, but they were attached. So he had to cut them, a couple of cuts to make 8 strings. So the problem was that the mitzvah of Sukkah is the kshira, is the tying of the thing, and he did the kshira.
Mitzvah of Sukkah?
No, the mitzvah of tzitzis is the kshira, of tying the tzitzis. And when you go ahead, you're supposed to have strings, 8 strings before you tie them. What if you only have basically 1 string before you tie it? You tie it while it's still 1 string, and then you cut it afterwards. Is that called an asiyah or not? You have to do an asiyah behechsher. That's the problem with tasa and also. It says in Torah tasa, and it says by tzitzis and by sukkah, it says tasa. You have to make it in a valid way. If you make it invalidly, then you have to, if you just do a minor act of fixing, that's not called an asiyah. It's not called a kosher asiyah. You have to do the kosher asiyah in the first place. If you didn't do it in the first place, you have to do a new asiyah in order to make it kosher. So that's what Rav holds, that the small act of cutting it is considered a good enough act that's called asiyah and making a good making. And Shmuel held it wasn't. So Ramat Chil the presumed in Shebei. The Talmud lo pasak roshi chutin shel. And asked the Gemara Rav Chia Barashi Amar lei hachem Rav mifsakan v'hein kshein. Rav says you just have to cut the string. You don't have to tie it again. Ama psikasan zu asiyas, and just cutting it is considered nasiyah. Hakanam psisasan zu asiyas. When you cut the branches, that's considered asiyah. You don't have to minaneya. The Savar Shmuel lo amriyam psikasan zu asiyas. And the Shmuel hold we don't say cutting it is considered nasiyah. V'hatani Shmuel mishum Rabbi and basically it's the same idea as before. It's just he put the 8 strings, he put them into 2 holes at the same time. Two holes, so there's 4 holes in the scissors. There's 2 holes at the same time. He said, and then he cut it. And he said it's kosher. My love kosher. Are we talking about where he first tied the knots and then he cut the strings? Lo, kosher. Really, he cut him and then he tied the knots. So the word says kosher. If he cut the knots and then he tied it, what's the chiddush? Obviously, if he did that, he did it in the right order. He tied the knots first while they were already strings. Mao the same, but on top of Yud Aleph and Beis, Ba'inan Knaf B'Shas Psil. You might think you have to only put it in one of the corners, not 2 of the corners at the same time. When you enter the strings in Valeka, you don't have that. You put 2 of the strings in originally when you put the strings in, you put it in 2 holes together. Kamashma, that's not a problem as long as you cut the strings before you do the knots. It says if you did this strategy over here, you're doubling it up and you did the knot and then you cut it afterward, it's possible. My love shapsulin la'olam. But you have to do Rav, it doesn't mean it's possible la'olam and not like Rav, that Rav says psikas and zuasiyas, and cutting it is not considered a good enough asiyah. He says there's puzzle until you actually cut them, but once you cut them, then it would be good. Unless of course you untied the knot and then retied it. They all said in the name of Shmuel it's puzzle. Happened with me the ma'asav. I came in front of Shmuel. I did it this way. I tied it in this fashion. I cut it after I tied it, and he said it's possible olam. Meisive. Talan, we're going to ask on Rav. Meisive. Talan pasak roshi chutin shalahen psulin v'od netanya gabi sukkah. So you see by sitzis it's possible. Tanya gabi sukkah tasa woman also. Mikanamru hillel as a gefim as adlas as a kisum b'sichik al gaban psula, like the case in our Mishnah. If you do this without cutting it, you put it on top of your sukkah, it's possible. Hey chidan, what's the case? If the case is talking on this brisa where he didn't cut it, my area mishum tasa woman also. Typically the mechubarnin, or the reason it's possible is mechubar to the ground. He doesn't say that it would hear balei. And the Mishnah says you made a batal barov, but if no batal barov, so it's mechubarin, so it's going to be a problem. Ela b'shekotza must be talking about this brisa where he did cut it, and yet it says it's still possible. You have to the rav must see cutting it after you put it on. Normally you have to cut it before you put the schach on, but if you put the schach on first and then you cut it, that's not considered a good enough asiya, not like Rav. You have to the Rav. Amalach Rav hacha mayaskin the shalfinu shlufe. Laminkra asiya didu. You can answer the second brisa, not by sitzis, but by sukkah. You can answer that question where he twisted off the branches. He twisted, as opposed to cutting with a knife. You cut it with a knife, so then it snaps back and the branches where it was cut from fall away. But if you just twist it with your hand, so the branches will remain there. It looks like it's still attached to the ground, even though it's really not, and therefore it's a psul d'rabbanan of tasul and also not the psul d'oraisa. This is a psul d'rabbanan de lo minkara milsa asiya, but really it is a good asiya midoraisa. But the Gemara says mikol makom talam pasla kasha. What the first brisa I says this is still a kasha. The kasha the Rav, it's a kasha and Rav kasha. The Gemara says it really is a good kasha. Maybe there's a way of resolving it. I don't know. Lema kitanais. The Gemara says this machlokes Rav and Shmuel is a machlokes tanoim. We'll say it's machlokes tanoim. Over v'likdan pasul. Divrei Rabbi Shimon ben Yotzadok. Here we're talking about a case where you have your dalad minim. Now, three of the minim, the lulav and the hadasim and the aravos, you're supposed to tie together. People do the kushalach or whatever. Some people tie it. I personally prefer to just tie it. It's much easier. Anyway, the reason you do that is because of eged. You're supposed to make a bundle out of these three minim, out of the dalad minim.
Which three minim?
The hadasim, the ravos, and the lulav. The esrog is not part of your eged, your bundle. So, let's say you do the bundle, which is a mitzvah. According to everybody, it's a mitzvah. And then you realize that your hadas, Shmuel, you're falling asleep on me?
I'm sorry.
Is it this boring?
I'm sorry. I was listening and then I fell asleep.
You know, there was a story. One day, this guy Ben Sion Lang, he went over to Shmuel Silver. And he said, Shmuel.
Yes.
Will you?
Yes.
He said, I do. I will attend your shir.
Oh.
He wasn't talking. He taught it. No, I do.
I
learn Daf Yomi. I will take part in your shir. I do learn Daf Yomi.
Okay.
I do learn Succah.
Okay.
Is that going to wake you up, Shmuel?
Yes.
Shmuel, get up.
I'm waking up. Okay.
Daf Yud Aleph. This is Sukkah. This is the meat and potatoes of Sukkah. The meat and potatoes. You like meat and potato? Not 9 days, right? Okay. This is actually a shir going on during the 9 days.
We spilled the beans.
I don't have time to do it on Motzei Tisha B'Av, so I'm doing it now. Anyway, so the problem is if you pluck the berries from the hadassim,
yes.
If there's more berries than leaves on the hadassim, it's possible. So let's say you want to pluck off on Yom Tov, you're not allowed to pluck off the berries, it's a malacha. But if you pluck them off on Yom Tov, b'di'evid, so now you have more leaves than berries, so it would technically be okay, right? But the question is, you already tied them. You already tied the lulav with hadassim and aravo, so you did it after. Is it considered enough of asiya or not? So Rosh Hashanah says it's possible. Chum machshir, the Chum say it's kosher. Savrua, we thought the chuli am lulav sarich eged. The machlokes these tanoim. Everybody hold you have to mido rice and make an eged in your lulav hadas and aros. We alfina lulav mi sukkah. We learn from sukkah the chsiv gabi sukkah tasa and asa. It's the word tasa by sukkah. So binyanav, just like by sukkah, there's a psul of tasa and asa. Also by lulav, the eged of lulav, it's also an asiya. It's psul of tasa and asa. My love hakam if we man the machshir so amrino gabi sukkah kisasan zu asiya asan. Just like by sukkah, when you cut the branches, that's considered enough of asiya, like Rav. Plucking the berries is considered to be enough of asiya. It's considered to be making it in the first place. Likitas and Zuasias. And Roman the Apostle Savar Lo Amrinan Gabi Sukkah Kisas and Zuasias and Gabi Lulav Nami Lo Amrinan Likitas and Zuasias. And so both by Sukkah and Lulav, we wouldn't say that doing a minor action is considered enough of an action of making it. Lo, the Chuliyama Lo Amrinan Gabi Sukkah Kisas and Zuasias. And everybody agrees we don't say by Sukkah Kisas and Zuasias. Like Shmuel, the Rabbanan say it's kosher. We don't learn a binyan of lulav to sukkah. The apostle lulav misukah. Shimon Sadak says it's possible. He says we do learn lulav misukah. We by example spirit on the lulav sarach eged. That if everybody held that there's a din that you need an eged for your three minim for hadasim lulav and arav to be tied together. Kol yamalo pligi lialfina lulav misukah. Everyone agrees that we would learn lulav misukah. If the mar sarach eged, mar sarach erin sarach eged. Machlok is seen Rosh Shimon Sadak and the Rabbanan say you don't need an eged. Rosh Shimon Sadak says you do need an eged, and that's the psul. The plug said the Hani Tanai the Tanya. Machlok is like the following brayse. So the Tanya lulav bein agud bein shein agud kosher. The Rabbanan say it's kosher whether even if you don't make an eged. Rabbi Yehuda Omer agud kosher shein agud pasul. You have to tie the dalaminim together. My time with the Rabbi Yehuda. Why does Rabbi Yehuda say you need an eged? Yalif lekicha megudas ezov. From Agudas Ezov by Korban the Pesach, when you sprinkle the blood and you put the blood on the doorpost. Just like there, you have to tie it in a knot. You have to make a knot there. Here too, also by Sukkot, you need an aguda. You need a knot. They didn't learn this Gzeira Shabbat. They didn't hold this Gzeira Shabbat. They never learned it from the Rebbeim. We have a brisa that says a mitzvah to do eged, but if you don't do it, it's kosher with the eved. Rabbi Yehuda kilo agdo amai kosher. If it's Rabbi Yehuda, you need the eged, so it can't be Rabbi Yehuda. You're Rabbanan amai mitzvah. Why is it a mitzvah? Rabbanan say you don't need to do an eged. Olam Rabbanan. Really, it is Rabbanan. Mishum shnemar zek keli manveu. He's not the fun of the mitzvah. So the mitzvah to beautify the mitzvahs, to buy a nice lulav, to buy a nice talis, to buy a nice pair of tefillin. Shmuel wears his talis and tefillin to show how he has a nice talis and tefillin. Mekayim. How much did you pay for your talis and your tefillin?
Oh,
A lot of money?
sheesh.
All right, Shmuel looked like he had a rough disagreement, a fight with his wife. He threw some pots and pans at her. She threw some back. We don't know who won the fight. You see the bump on his head over here? Yeah, it's from the fight they had. Anyway, Sinas Chinam brought the Chorban. Let's have a year of unification. We all get along well together.
That's right.
And Shmuel,
Yes.
thank you.
Oh,
Thank you for being there for me.
thank you.
All right? It means a lot that you come to
Okay.
my shiur. Am I
Thank you.
right?
I'm happy to hear that.
All right. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.